This is not, by the way, just to remind you, this is not our research. I just have to lay kind of a foundation so you can see what we were building on in the research. So from here, what happens in the I Ching is that they say, okay, these are the basic opposites, but we can start to layer that, and we can look at the yin that was within the yang, and the yang that is within the yin. So if we can show the opposites, what we have here is first the outer two opposites. These two opposites are here. The empty versus the full. Or we can take the next set of opposites. So this one still has quite a lot of energy. Oh, it's really gathering and forming a connection, a bond. And here this is much lighter and cleaner. It's separating. It's creating a clear kind of a boundary, a distinction between it and the world around it. And then we have the last one. These are in the middle, so if you notice these, in terms of energy level, they're much closer to each other. They're very distinct opposites, but go back to the last one, the first one. Here, this one's very easy. There's almost no energy. So you see there's a real difference in these type of balances. So, energy dynamics, how do they relate to the chakras in here? How does it relate to the sociological picture out there? So we decided to do a study of both of these things. The chakras were easier, just in the sense that I have more of a history with them. I've been playing with them longer. There's lots of clear books. It's sociological, that was the question. There's a model called spiral dynamics. Maybe you've heard the name by now through the information about this or from wherever. Spiral dynamics was a theory that I came across a number of years ago. It's sort of one of a growing number of theories that are really starting to make major strides and starting to integrate a lot of the different ideas and reflections that we have about our world. It can oversee the whole spiral, and it can move through it. It starts to really not just tolerate, but to respect other views. And it acts without that existential fear. Whereas all the ones below it are actually kind of only really aware of its own value system. Yeah? Later in, many of you are probably familiar with this piece. Later in the piece, for example, Dominique is rushing around the space, almost banging into all the furniture, being totally crazy, where you see Pina Bausch, is she in her 60s at this point? You know, this frail thing, you know, doing this beautiful sort of thing in this, and you have all these different characters, each with their different value systems. There's a kind of a chaotic whole. I was talking about Alain Platel before, weaving these different people together. We see it even earlier here in Pina Bausch, where she's not saying, you know, we're not all the Pina Bausch style doing, she had that in the beginning, but she started to diversify more and more and open up and allow more and more in, and have a more complex awareness of how to create a meaningful dialogue between all these things. The larger the group, the more the challenge is to try to get a sense of how your individual action can happen in a way that you're not going to create a problem somewhere else. Now these are of course just one example of ways that we can make this not the answer to spiral dynamics, obviously. These are some approaches We're trying to really come from a clear sense of what's driving and what's enabling, what kind of conditions will awaken these different capacities. These are some of the things, first things we found that seemed to really work. But we're really looking for what are the other things that can also, and what different kinds of exercises for different groups will help awaken these different systems. Not just the group, the whole thing. And then we, really try to go back and review all these systems in a way that those things